In any field of mastery, whether it's music, martial arts, or mathematics, nobody begins with advanced techniques. You don't start by composing symphonies before learning scales, nor do you attempt flying kicks before mastering balance. The occult is no different. Yet, too often seekers rush headlong into spirit work, ceremonial evocations, or powerful spellcraft without laying the necessary groundwork. This isn't just irresponsible, it's dangerous, both spiritually and psychologically. Engaging with the occult without foundational training is like building a house on sand. It may look solid from a distance, but the moment pressure is applied, when a storm comes or the winds of doubt and spiritual resistance rise, it will crack, shift, and collapse entirely. Foundations are what support the structure of your practice. They are the unseen strength beneath the visible act of ritual, divination, and communion. Without them, even the most visually elaborate workings are hollow, misaligned, or worse, open invitations for disorder and destruction. The metaphor of building a house is more than poetic, it's practical. Imagine a beautiful temple erected in haste on unstable earth. Its spires reach toward the heavens, its altars are adorned, and its symbols are intricate. But beneath it, the soil shifts, water seeps in, and the ground trembles. Eventually, it buckles under its own weight. This is the practitioner who plunges into spirit summoning without learning how to discern and test the spirits. It's the witch who performs hexes without understanding energetic hygiene. It's the ceremonial magician who recites ancient invocations without even studying the meaning of the words or preparing their psychic container. No architect would construct such a building without first reinforcing the ground. So, why should we approach the temple of the occult any differently? Building on solid rock, on trained awareness, ethical clarity, and mental stability gives you a platform that not only supports advanced practices but allows it to flourish. The deeper your foundation, the taller your tower can rise. Foundational training is the process of preparing the mind, body, and spirit for magical work. It's not about learning spells, it's about becoming someone capable of working with the forces those spells move. In other words, before you touch the fire, you need to become fireproof. Here's what foundational training typically actually includes. So, firstly, you will have daily practice and discipline. This is where all paths converge. Consistent, intentional practice, whether it's meditation, ritual, journaling, or devotional acts. Foundational training teaches the will to show up. Discipline isn't about dogma, it's about self-mastery. You need to know that you can rely on yourself to do the work, even when it's boring, hard, or uncomfortable. Discipline also builds energetic strength. Regular practice tunes your subtle body like an instrument. If you only play when the mood strikes, you'll never reach harmony. Second is meditation and mental clarity. Your mind is the primary tool of magic. If it's scattered, noisy, reactive, or easily manipulated, you'll be like a sword with a dull edge, useless in spiritual battle and dangerous to yourself. Foundational meditation sharpens the mind and steadies the emotions. It teaches focus, awareness, and presence. These are not optional skills. They are essential, especially when you begin engaging entities that can mirror, distort, or test your consciousness. Through regular meditation, you learn to observe your thoughts without being ruled by them. You create an inner space that can hold power without spilling it, interact with spirits without panic, and channel gnosis without collapse. Third, grounding, centering, and shielding. Think of these as your basic safety protocols. Grounding connects you to the earth and keeps your energy anchored. Centering aligns your awareness in the present moment. Shielding protects your field from intrusive influences. Many would-be occultists skip these steps, assuming that invocations and rituals are enough to protect them, but no amount of sage smoke or Latin verse will help you if you can't center your awareness under pressure or ground after high energy workings. Without these skills, spirit contact can become unbalanced or even harmful. Grounding prevents burnout and energetic overload. Centering keeps your intentions clear. Shielding provides boundaries in both mundane and spiritual interactions. Together, they form your magical immune system. Fourth on the list is protection and cleansing magic. When we step onto an occult path, especially with intention and regular practice, we begin to shine. We light up like a light bulb. Our energy becomes brighter, more focused, and more noticeable on the subtle planes. To beings and forces that dwell in those realms, we can appear like candles in the dark. This attracts attention. Not all of it is friendly. Just as a bright light draws moths, it can also draw astral parasites. These astral parasites are opportunistic entities that feed off emotional instability, unbalanced energy, or spiritual naivety. Protection magic is not about paranoia, it's about boundaries. It's the magical equivalent of locking your doors at night. Cleansing is about energetic hygiene. Just as we wash our bodies to remove the dirt every day, we need to do the same with our energy bodies. Learning wards, banishing rituals, energetic cleansing, and how to recognize intrusion are essential survival tools, not advanced options. Without protection magic, your practice becomes a lighthouse with no keeper, visible to all but defenseless when storms arrive. Fifth is ethical understanding and shadow work. Before commanding spirits, you need to understand yourself. What are your motivations? Where do your wounds lie? What unconscious patterns drive your magical desires? If you haven't done your shadow work, which is facing your suppressed, denied, or rejected aspects, good and bad, you risk projecting those unresolved parts onto your magic. Worse, they can become gateways for malevolent entities to exploit. Foundational training includes inner work, journaling, therapy, dream analysis, confronting your fears, and owning your power. It also includes ethical exploration. What does power mean to you? What responsibilities come with magical influences? What are your boundaries with spirits, with humans, and with yourself? You cannot wield power wisely if you have no moral compass. And no, ethics aren't about following someone else's rules. They're about defining your own principles and holding yourself accountable to them. Sixth, knowledge of magical theory and cosmology. Before you summon anything, you need to know where it fits in the cosmology you're working with. What are spirits? What are the planes of reality? What's the difference between an egregore, a daemon, an angel, or a servitor? This becomes the basis for building your own personal worldview. Foundational study gives context to your experiences. It teaches you how to navigate the map before walking into the forest blindfolded. That means reading, studying comparative systems, understanding correspondences, archetypes, metaphysics, and the symbolic languages of magic. This doesn't mean parroting dogma. It means acquiring enough intellectual fluency to make sense of your own gnosis. 7. Working with the elements. This particular point could be argued against. It tends to fall heavily into the ceremonial arena, and different systems can hold different views. But I think in our modern framework, it should be included. Magical traditions tend to acknowledge the fundamental forces of nature. Earth, air, fire, water, and spirit are not just poetic metaphors, they're energies, intelligences, and states of consciousness. Foundational training involves getting to know these elements intimately through ritual, meditation, and physical experience. What does fire feel like in your body? How does water move through your psyche? What happens when you're unbalanced in air? The elements are the building blocks of magic. If you can't summon the element of fire within yourself, How will you interact with a fiery spirit? 8, basic ritual structure and energetics. Even if you're not drawn to formal ceremonial magic, understanding ritual structure is key, especially if you are going to be doing spirit work. That includes opening and closing space, invoking and banishing, directing energy, using tools, setting wards, discerning and testing spirits, and building an energetic container. Think of rituals like circuits. If they're wired wrong, they short out or backfire. If they're wired right, they become conduits for vast power. Foundational ritual training teaches you how to build these circuits intentionally, cleanly, and safely. It also helps you develop your subtle senses, learning to feel, direct, and modulate energy with awareness rather than imagination alone. So let's be blunt. Calling spirits without foundational training is spiritual trespassing. At best, it's ineffective. At worst, it invites chaos, obsession, delusion, or energetic trauma. Spirits, especially those not bound by your cosmology or culture, do not exist to serve your whims. Some are teachers, some are tricksters, some are predators. Without grounding, discernment, or ethical clarity, you're an open buffet for spiritual parasites or opportunistic forces. And not all harm comes from the outside. The human psyche is full of shadows. Invoking powerful archetypes or forces without stability can unearth trauma, trigger psychosis, or feed ego inflation. Magic magnifies. Whatever is inside your will grows under its light. So if that foundation is cracked, the cracks become chasms. Foundational training is not glamorous. It's not fast. It often lacks the dramatic flair of spirit contact or spellcasting, but it's the soil in which all real power grows. When you train your mind, your body, and your energy field, you become the temple. When you study, question, and confront your own nature, you become the tool. And when you can hold power without shaking, speak to spirits without losing yourself, and shape reality without unraveling, it's because your foundation is solid. Build it with patience. Strengthen it with discipline. Revisit it often, because in the end, it's not the fire you call that makes you a magician. It's your ability to contain and direct it. Now, if you have made it all the way to the end of this video without excessively rolling your eyes or swearing at me, and you are actually serious about your future in the occult path, then there are a load of books you can get to learn all of these foundational practices. I also teach them myself. If you check on here for a playlist called Magical Foundations, where I discuss a lot of the things I actually wrote about in my first 2 books, The Reality of Things and The Black Crow. There is a lot you can actually gain from that. Otherwise, my latest offering is the first degree training I offer in the Temple of the Horned Serpent tiers on Patreon, especially if you want one-to-one meetings to ask questions. Check them out. Link is in the description. You'll also find the books I just spoke about in the shop on Patreon if you want to grab those. Another option I have available is the free 52-week beginner's course in witchcraft that you can grab on Witch Academy. So lots and lots of ways to get started, and doing the foundational training is absolutely vital. All of the links are in the description. If you want to go check any of those out, please do so. And hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.